guys, it's Morgan, and this is Grace.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay. So, we are doing the Quirkywizard live show today, and if you don't know what that is, then I am shocked, because why else would you be here? Hold on, okay. So I think I got it to where it is not switching back and forth between us. So let's see if I can fix that.
Okay, while we're live.
Yeah, totally.
At least I'm not the only one with technical difficulties.
Hey, I fixed it. Okay. So we are doing Quirkywizard live show today, and that means that it is time to discuss our most recent read, which is Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. What are your thoughts?
Basic overall thoughts. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. It was unique. I had like one kind of flaw with it, but other than that, I really liked it. What about you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think that it was a really good read. I did not like the way some things were portrayed, but that was only because of personal experiences, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I really did enjoy the novel as a whole.
Yeah, overall, I gave it 4 out of 5. What about you?
5 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
I love it.
So,
It was so good.
do we want to go into like a first point now, or?
Yeah, I think first points sound good. So,
Okay.
what is your first point?
Well, my first point, which is probably my favorite point, which is like probably no one else cares about this but me, but I I am in love with the fact that the main character is over 6 feet tall and is taller than the romance, like the love interest. It just made me so happy because I'm 6 feet tall. And so I don't there's no books where the girl is taller than the boy or there's a girl that's like over 5'7" usually. So it's always just really nice to see that. And it was just great. That made me happy.
Yeah, that was really awesome. That was I mean, it was nice to see. It was nice to see her tower over the guy and
Yeah. And I know most short people won't care about that, but like all of us tall people, like that was just exciting.
yeah, no, there are more short people books than there are books for tall people.
Yeah. So that was just exciting. I don't know.
Yay. Okay. So, now we're gonna look at the thing that we were kind of talking about, which is the big plot of this book, which is her being queer in the South.
Mm-hmm. It's
Queer
all about
being
sexuality.
queer being, as we're defining it, anyone who is on the LGBTQ spectrum or does not identify as specifically straight and cisgender.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what were your feelings about this?
I went into it being really skeptical because I had read all of these like kind of negative reviews about it being about a girl who gets like turned straight because of the right guy, and I was like, oh no, watch it end up actually being that. But
Yeah,
I was surprised. I think that it displayed really well that sexuality is fluid and that there's not, you aren't always just one thing, or that things can change, or you haven't experienced something in your life, so you can't because you haven't experienced it.
yeah, I agree. I think that the way that she did that and the more revealing the more fluid parts of the sexuality that our main character is was really nice. Um, I'm guessing, from what I know, that
Mm-hmm.
the main character would be like a homo fluid. I'm not sure if that's what it's called. There is a or homoflexible, which is basically someone who identifies normally as homosexual, but who can have feelings for the opposite gender as well. Um, there's also heteroflexible. I know too much about this stuff, but but I feel like it was a really good look at being homoflexible
Yeah.
and a good look
I
at
think
fluidity.
Yeah, I think it really showed that it was a good example of how sexuality can be fluid and how you have to realize that like things aren't always the same. Or I mean, I don't know how to explain it very well, but it was a good, I felt like it was a good representation of the fluidity and everything.
I get what you're saying, and it really was. It was a great representation of fluidity of um, LGBTQ, of fluidity of sexuality, fluidity of everything. This did for me the same thing that Noteworthy did.
I haven't read Noteworthy.
I know, and that makes me so sad. But it did look quite well at sexuality, gender, race, and class, kind of like this did. I think
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that this didn't really look at on that spectrum is gender very much.
Really deal with gender, but I think that's because I think it was good that it didn't deal with gender because I feel like if it had added that in, too many things to tackle in this book and something would have just gotten brushed over and not really
Yeah.
in-depthly handled. And then I think that would have caused me to dislike the book because I would rather you take a book and talk about one topic but show all of the sides to it than have multiple topics that people need to hear about but not in-depthly understand them and have them discussed.
And I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. That's actually I had one gripe about Noteworthy, and it was the fact that they had the main character kind of decide she was bi over the course of the book, and decide that she also liked girls, and in the very end, she ends up with a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Which I get, but I would have liked them having shown her with some kind of romantic relationship or thoughts of romantic relationship with a girl.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal gripe. But I think
Mm-hmm.
that if it was more focused on the gender stuff and stuff like that, that might not have been such of an issue. So,
And I mean, I think that Ramona Blue handled all of the points it was trying to tackle.
yeah.
I think my only problem with it is like in its attempt to do that, it kind of didn't focus on anything other than the romance aspect.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish there was like a plot to the story other than her dating a guy.
There was a lot going on in her personal life, and I think part of the plot was her coming to terms with her sister and figuring out where she really wanted to go in life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, away from the trailer park or whatever. But that doesn't excuse the fact that there wasn't like a plot. There wasn't a firm plot, like you're saying.
Yeah,
That's not
because
okay. That's not okay.
right, I love books that are plot driven, and I mean, I've read other um sexual fluidity and stuff, and like they have an overarching plot with it,
Yeah.
which kind of helps the story because otherwise this kind of just feels like a book that's like all of these things and explain them all, which it was and it did great and I still really enjoyed it, but I felt like it could have had some form of plot, like her applying to college and like something like that that would have been more touched on than just her dealing with romance.
I want a Ruth and Saul spinoff.
Yeah, that would
Like,
be.
yeah. Like, just from the point of view, like, thinking about what plot was actually there, a lot of it revolved around her relationship with Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love a Ruth and Saul spinoff. Like,
Yeah.
y'all, that would make me so happy. I want to talk about really quickly the differing reactions because I think it's really reminiscent of what happens in real life in families and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. In the book, Ramona, when she comes out to her family, everyone has different reactions. Her sister tries to make her best friends with all of the local gay kids.
Yeah.
Her dad's like, okay, cool. Her mother just refuses to accept it. And then when we look at Saul and Ruth's parents, they're not okay with it at all, like their children's
Mm-hmm.
sexuality at all. So I think
Yeah.
that I really like the way that Julie Murphy kind of explored the way that in the South there are people who are okay with that stuff, but there are also people who are going to be horrific.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think she was attempting to at least portray it as like only people in the South, but like, because I'm sure, because there's different areas all across the country where people like aren't accepting of it.
Definitely. But we can
But
both speak to being in the South better than we can speak to being in Kansas.
Right.
So, and that's kind of what this
But
book is
yeah,
trying.
yeah, and I really liked that it explored different reactions and how like, you know, coming out is different for every type of person, and every person who does it will have a different experience, and it just shows how different reactions will happen and
Yeah.
what happens because of that.
And that was really helpful because I think that, you know, if you're a young LGBT kid and you're considering coming out,
Mm-hmm.
this book honestly does portray some of the different reactions you'll get quite well, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, there's gonna be at least one person in your life who believes in you and is okay with you and loves you no matter what. And you may get some negative reactions, but that just boils down to the fact that those people are too close-minded to understand who you are and fully accept it. Words of wisdom from Morgan. But I really enjoyed it. I really liked the way that they covered that.
Yeah, I felt like it did a good job. It, again, like I said earlier, it takes every topic that it touched on, and I feel like it went through it really well, and at least it gave enough information for people to be understanding on the topic a little bit better.
Yeah, agreed.
Do we want to move on to the diversity within the book?
I think so, because there was queer diversity. There was LGBT characters. Ruth, Saul, and Ramona are all gay or lesbian at the start of the book. Ramona slowly discovers that she is homoflexible or bi or whatever you want to call it. She didn't label it at the end. She said, "I don't quite know what."
She doesn't. Oh, and yeah, and then there's also just regular racial diversity too, because the main character is white, and then there is the relationship she enters into with, I just forgot his name.
Freddie.
Freddie. I knew it started with an F, with Freddie, and Freddie is black. So there's that relationship, and they deal with that dynamic and
they do.
and that kind of effect on people within the story.
Yeah. At one point during the story, and you talk to the audience the audience of one viewer, while I find the quote.
Okay, well, so yeah, I mean, they touch on the fact that like Freddie isn't white and that she is, and that like it's a relationship in the South. And I mean, I guess the South doesn't really like actually matter in that as much. Talk to those aspects, and there's even like a scene where they like break into a pool or whatever, and then they like have this huge conversation about this, and they do talk about what it means to have a different race and like why people are treating him differently versus her, and just it goes into it, and I felt like it touched on it pretty well. It wasn't as heavily as the sexuality was, but I think
it wasn't as heavily touched upon. I'm trying to find, because there was a really hard-hitting quote or kind of passage in this, and I need to find it. I should have marked it, but
one where they're at the pool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it basically, I mean, this book definitely deals with a lot of different topics, but I feel like it handled it really well. Where you found it? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So the quote, it has curse words, so just if my family is watching this, I apologize.
Just say beep.
and it's almost easy to forget. We click, and it's almost easy to forget all the things that set us apart. Maybe sneaking onto private property is just some kind of stupid antic for you, but from where I stand, that's how black kids get shot. And then it continues lower down the page. You can't pretend to be colorblind or some shit when it's convenient for you, okay? I'm black. This is the skin I wear every damn day. You're my best friend. You can't tell me that you don't see my black life is not the same as your white life. Maybe you haven't thought about things like this before because you don't have to. I get that. But when I tell you I'm uncomfortable, I need you to listen, okay? I know there's stuff I don't understand about the gay thing, but you need to understand that my life in this skin is different from yours. And that was powerful. That was very powerful at the book.
Yeah. And then I think they do end up talking about it a little bit further at some point. But like I did like that they added in this diversity and that they brought it up at least. I thought that was a good adding.
Especially in the day and age we live in, because this was written, would have been written last year, maybe even in 2015 some. Which was when a lot of the Black Lives Matter movement was really full force. I mean, it still is full force, but we don't hear about it as much right now. But this was written when all of that was still a huge issue and a huge deal. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to go to bed now. This was written when a lot of that was still a huge issue. And I'm thinking that definitely influenced her some. I wish she would have talked about it some more, but I get why she didn't.
Yeah, I wish it was a more prominent topic, at least in the thing. But I feel like her book's main focus was to talk about sexuality, and so she wanted to add this in, but I don't think she wanted it to be the main focal point of the story.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what her next book is going to be, because I'm sure, her last, I'm not sure, I think Side Effects May Vary dealt with drug use. I've not read that one yet. But
this is only Julie Murphy.
What?
I said this is the only Julie Murphy I've read, so I don't know what her other ones are about.
Dublin dealt with being a fat girl in the South, which is awesome. And Ramona Blue dealt mostly with sexuality. So I'm hoping that the next one deals with race a little more. Obviously I can't say, oh, it has to, or it's gonna deal with race, obviously, but I have my fingers crossed.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Also, while we're talking about Julie Murphy writing as a whole, I do have to say, I didn't hear about this until really, really recently, but they're making a Dumplin movie, and I am so excited. Oh my god. I've already got my mom to promise me that we're gonna go on opening weekend.
Nice.
Y'all. Oh my god. Okay, so is there anything else you want to talk about, kind of about the interracial relationship?
No, I don't really think so. I think we kind of covered the majority of it. So one of our next points was talking about Hattie and her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And their dynamic and their relationship and how they affect the story.
Okay, so do you want to lay down the groundwork, or should I?
You can.
Okay, so Hattie and her boyfriend, Hattie being the main character's sister. Yeah, so Hattie and her boyfriend kind of slept around one night stands. Grace, hon?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, you muted yourself. So Hattie's boyfriend kind of slept around one night stands, playing Russian roulette to see who he knocked up first. And it ended up being Hattie. And their relationship is awful for most of the book. He is... Sorry, you guys. Wow. He is very disingenuous. He doesn't seem to care very much about her, just about the baby, and not even much about the baby.
Yeah.
Like, what else do I say? He's just a crappy person. He doesn't care
Well,
about his way of life. Well, he doesn't want to help pay the bills. He doesn't want to get a job. He moves in with them and then just
yeah. I
slaps.
mean, well, their relationship was very at the beginning had even called it a relationship. It was more of them hooking up and then he did what he felt like he was like duty bound to do,
Yeah,
as opposed to like just ignoring her and leaving her be or whatever.
yeah,
Liked their relationship and the fact that it was at least, I mean, it at least was portrayed to me as a realistic relationship and how things really happened, because it could have taken like a turn where they were like perfectly happy, they had no problems, like they had their baby and their life was perfect, but like instead it showed like a real struggle and a real like this is not, because sometimes I feel like relationships like have a hardship and then people portray it as like this perfect thing that doesn't actually go wrong.
oh, definitely.
But this like showed it in a more realistic standpoint and showed that like even though some people tell you this is like it's bad, but like you're having good come out of it, but there's also realistic points about how people act and how there's
Yeah,
not always a perfect guy out there.
every
Like
relationship isn't
not every guy.
every relationship isn't going to be happy. Most relationships won't be 100% happy all the time.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it's happy all the time, I would be worried about you. Everyone argues. I do want to really quickly point out
Yeah.
the Cincinnati book, but I'm noticing that there's a huge difference in our things, and I'm wondering if they're noticing too. I'm on my laptop and she's on her phone, which is why our angles are very different and
Oh,
our cuts
yeah.
are very different. I'm like, you're going up and down, I'm going out, and it's like, maybe you should address that.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, so, but yeah, I think that the way that she handled that was really good. I still think that Hattie shouldn't have taken him back, if that makes sense.
I don't think she should have. I mean, well, okay. I don't think she should have just like she kind of acted like those relationships where it's like, oh, I'm so mad at this guy. He did this and this and this. And then like the second he calls, they just forget about everything.
Yup.
And that's kind of how this went. But I also felt like Ramona spoke about it, showing it as that. So I felt like it at least put a realistic spin on it and showed that, like, there are girls that do this. There are people who, when they're treated poorly or whatever, they dump the person, but the second they call back, they're with them again. And so Ramona
Yeah,
at least addressed it. So I feel like even if the relationship was kind of poor in that sense, the character identified that that's the problem, helps the reader.
definitely. Definitely. So I want to talk about the poverty aspect of this book.
Okay.
Because I think it was really dealt with quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ramona and her family when she was an infant lost everything with Hurricane Katrina. And Ramona, they now have to live in like a trailer park in a trailer. And her dad, who had, I think it was like a food cart or a food truck or something.
Oh, I don't remember.
Which he lost during Hurricane Katrina. He now has to work in a restaurant for minimum wage, and it's this spiral of sadness almost, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but all of her friends, Saul and Ruth and Freddie, Saul and Ruth are very well off, and Freddie is fairly well off. His family is.
Yeah, Freddie is, I would say, very well off also.
So to look at kind of like, how do I say this? To look at it like that, to have the not only the perspective of her and her being lower middle class, or maybe higher poverty line, higher, like right under that poverty line, because she still did. Everyone in that house had a job
Yeah,
and multiple jobs, and they had enough money to function, but not enough money to do anything more than function.
right.
So I don't know what else to say about that, but I like the way that Julie Murphy handled that. Do you have anything to add?
I mean, I would agree. I think she handled it really well. And I think that topic that she added in and then dealt with in a realistic sense and a way that at least like gave you more information or brought it more depthly and like I don't know, a good I thought it was a good addition.
Okay, I want to talk about this. It's not on our talking points list, but I just thought of it and I really want to bring it up. The codependency between she and Hattie.
Um, that was pretty interesting. It was I don't I mean it was kind of codependency like those are the only two people that like that was the only other person that was a constant in their life.
Yeah.
So they
Oh,
felt
I
the
get
need to
it.
rely on it. Like
I get why it was there, but mostly it's like Hattie's codependency on her. The fact that Ramona was never able to like build up a savings or anything like that because she was always saving Hattie.
well, and I think that comes down to just like brother, sister, 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 brother, brother relationships and like not everyone has the same relationship. I feel like for them and because of their lifestyle, they were so close to each other. And since they were so close, they just acted as like, I'm always going to help you when I need to. And I mean, you can't, like, Hattie's just personality. It's like, I'm going to think ahead, I'm going to save money. It was more of a, I have money now, I'm going to use it while I have it. And it
Yeah.
was very much, I need to save, I need to plan out, I have to think this through. And so I think it wasn't as much codependency as it was just difference in personalities. And so Ramona Blue just always felt like compelled to help her sister whenever her sister got in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was very sad but true to life. Hi. Oh, by the way, you guys, I have a cat. I'm not talking to like my bed. I have a cat. But I think it was true to life. Their relationships that are definitely like that.
Yeah, and I think that it was focusing more on how close sisters can be and how there's not always this like sibling sometimes portrayed in books or like I feel like most YA has like the sibling is just unless it's like a needed character, they're just like, oh yeah, I have it close or whatever.
Kind of like a sibling
But this like
rivalry or something.
so that like you can't have like these too close loving relationship because you have the willing to give up some but others what I was doing.
I get it. I get what you're saying, and that makes a lot of sense. Like I get. I'm like, you've helped me understand this. Yay. But it does. It's still sad. It still made me sad.
I mean, it was also nice because I liked the fact that it was like portraying a real relationship with siblings because I don't know many people who's like act how most siblings act. I mean, I don't act how many novels. And so like this was like more of a realistic um of how siblings are because I mean, you don't have to be as close as the two of them were. Age, the fact that they were both sisters and that they were both like just super close and personality types that they were just close as people and so it just helped be more realistic.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I'm like, what else do I say? Okay. I think we've covered everything on our list in 30 minutes. So I'm going to shoot it out to our single viewer and say, hey, do you want to ask us questions?
Yeah, I'm gonna think there's any points that I want to add in, but I'm trying to think of anything. Do we want to talk about how I didn't want to go to college?
Sure, that sounds great.
I mean, I don't really say about it other than like she didn't feel like her because she never felt like she had the opportunity for college.
Yeah. And it was accurate. There are people who definitely feel like that.
I think it was I don't know, it wasn't like a big point or anything, but it was interesting to see like she never thought she had a child, so left and was like, I can just work here, and everyone was like telling her, you're like the one person in our town that's always dying to leave, like why are you limiting yourself? Everyone else here is fine staying here, but you want to move on to bigger things and you want to try things yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
The whole sister thing, because she could be with her sister and she didn't want to leave what she knew even though she didn't like what she had.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what happens after. I want to know what happens with Hattie and her boyfriend. I want to know what happens with Ruth and Saul. I want more in this story in a way that I haven't wanted more from Dumplin.
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested to read more, but I feel like as a whole, the story, it wrapped up nicely. It showed a realistic like storyline and everything, I suppose. I mean, it was a little, there was a little more plot, like I said earlier, but I think overall it talked about, so I felt like the story was wrapped up pretty nicely for me.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed this book. I highly suggest it. It's not looking like we're gonna get any questions, so I'm thinking we might want to go on and wrap this up. This was a very positive live stream, which means it's
this is the first time I'm not sitting here ranting about negatives. That's why it's so short.
This is the one time we're not ranting about using your brain instead of your private parts.
Well, I mean, they do that too, but
I mean, yeah, not that often. Not as often as Quinn and what's her name? Gosh.
Sage.
Quinn and Sage. They don't do they don't do that as often as Quinn and Sage do at all. If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch our Trader's Kids live show. It was a hoot and a half.
Oh, don't go watch it. It was really bad.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk about our July book picks, and then Grace and I are going to hang up and talk about what we want to do for August. I'm thinking, because it's about time to plot that out. So, dates being very tentative, our July live stream for the book we are going to read for our fantasy book is going to be on the 8th of July.
I can't check right now, but sure, probably.
8th of July at noon CST or 1 Eastern time. And that is going to be for Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh. This is a huge release for 2017. So many people have been loving it. So many people have read it. And I want to join the bandwagon. So we are going to be reading that for the Saturday, the 8th of July live show. Would you like to announce our contemporary book?
I mean, I guess. So I don't know what the date is that we're doing the live show on because it's on my phone and I'm on my phone right now. The 22nd. Okay, so we're doing it on the 22nd. And these are all always 1 p.m. EST or 12 p.m. CST. And our was When Dimple Met Rishi.
When Dimple Met Rishi by Sun Kim In On. Join us to read this adorable novel.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all will enjoy it. Y'all will enjoy this book. So please read that along with us. We would love to have you.
Yep.
I think that's everything.
All
right, we're going to go and we're going to hash out our August book picks. So y'all should be hyped. All right. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, I'm a blogger.